Hello and welcome back. All right, so in this lesson, we're going to learn how to use the spot removal tool to remove dust spots. Now, originally, the spot removal tool was introduced to remove spots. However, you can also use it to retouch your image. For example, you could remove blemishes on people's faces. You can remove objects. We can get rid of this moon right here, or we could even get rid of one of these boats if we wanted to, and much more. So in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to use the spot removal tool, and then in more advanced projects in this course, you will learn how to remove objects with the spot removal tool. For now, we're just going to learn the basics of the tool and how to remove some spots in this image in particular, because we do have a spot here and there's another one over here as well. So our spot removal tool is located right here on our toolbar, and you can also access the tool with your keyboard shortcut, which is the letter B. Once you select your tool, you're going to notice some different options over here in our panel to the right. Right here, we have a type, which says heal, and we also have another option in here called clone. And then we have some sliders. We can increase the size of our brush because we are basically painting with a brush to remove the spots or the blemishes. You can also increase or decrease the feather of that brush. So you can have a harder edged brush or a softer edged brush. And then you can increase or decrease the opacity. And this helps blend it in and can help make it look more natural by removing part of the blemish versus all of it, which I find to be more useful when I'm retouching blemishes on people's faces. Maybe we don't want to remove a particular blemish 100%, and we may instead wish to allow some of that blemish to show through, and that's just to, again, to make it look as natural as possible. So let's go over the different types of brushes that we have, clone and heal. So what exactly are the differences between the two? Well, I'm glad you asked. So let me go ahead and explain the difference between the two. Let's first talk about clone. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to apply your brush over the area that you want to fix. And then once you click, ACR is going to automatically select another part of your image that it thinks matches that same area, and it clones it or copies it. So all these pixels right here have now been copied to this area here, and that covers up that particular spot that was there originally, or that blemish that was there on the image. Now, if you don't agree with ACR's selection, you can actually click inside of this circle and move it somewhere else, and then it's going to copy that information to this area over here, and you can actually see that. Now, if you use a hard-edged brush like this here, we can see it doesn't look as natural because it does have a hard edge. And not to mention that this area doesn't really match as well. So let's move this back over here, and we can see that there's kind of a hard edge right there. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can better see it. We can see an outline of that circle right there, and that's because we used a hard-edged brush versus a soft-edged brush. So I typically like to use a feather of 75 to 100. Mostly I'll keep it at 100. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this back on, and then I can reselect that blemish and apply a new feather of 100, and then we can see that's blended in much more. Now that's the clone. Why would you want to use heal? Well, heal will even give you better results, but it all depends on the item that you're trying to fix, the image, and the surrounding areas of that image, because the heal tool is going to do something a little bit different. Although it's going to also clone a certain area, it does it in a different manner. What it does is it takes the texture of those pixels in that area and it applies it to your blemish, and it tends to blend in and appear more natural versus clone. Remember, clone copies. Heal, although it also is copying, it's taking more of the texture around the areas of the blemish and the area that it's cloning from, and it blends it in much better. So if you're working with clone and you're not getting the results you want, simply come in and select Heal instead, and that area will be automatically updated with that new brush. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit here. So let's go ahead and apply a heal brush to this little blemish right here. It's probably hard for you to see, but instead of clicking and letting go, I can use my brush to paint in that area, and then you can see the outline of the brush area that it's going to fix based on where I applied that brush. So in this case, I believe heal is going to work better for this particular spot, and let's take a look at clone to see the difference. So right now I'm on heal. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the overlay as well so we can see the adjustment without that outline of the brush. So I'm going to select clone, and check that out. This area is now much darker because ACR is selecting this area of the image to fix this area. It's taking an exact copy of the pixels from here and placing it here. So this side of the image is darker versus this side. So again, if you're not getting the results you want, try the other brush, and as you can see, heal is copying from here, but it's blending in the textures of those pixels a lot better versus clone. So again, if I want to remove a boat, I can simply click and drag and paint over that boat. Then ACR is going to select an area to fix it, but check it out. It's taken the texture of this area and placed it over the boat, but it didn't remove it completely. So in that case, clone might work better, and it does. So again, this shows you that depending on what you're trying to fix and remove in a particular photo, you might have to switch between clone and heal to find the best results. Okay, just a couple more quick tips before we move on. I'm going to go ahead and turn on show overlay. And one of the things you're going to notice is if you just click your brush and release and you don't paint, you're just going to get a circle. When you paint and brush, you're going to get an outline of that brush, but you're also going to get these little icons right here. We have a red one and a green one. So red is the icon that represents the area that you painted over. Green represents where ACR is cloning or healing from. These are known as pins. So anytime you brush on, you get a pin. We can see we have a pin over here as well, but it's white. That's because this one is not selected. We can come over here and select this pin, and then we're going to get our red and green pins. This one now turns white. So you can always go back at a later time and select the pin for that particular area again and make adjustments to it, whether it's the clone or the heal tool, the feather or the opacity, or a combination of the three. Which is awesome because maybe you're in a hurry and you come back tomorrow and you realize, you know what, I made a mistake. You can go back and you can fix that by selecting that particular pin and then making the adjustments. You can also delete it, which I'm going to for this particular pin because I want to add that boat back, by hitting the backspace key or the delete key, depending on if you're on a Mac or PC, and then it removes that adjustment that you applied to that area. So now we just have two adjustments, this one here and this one here. So I'm going to go ahead and hold down my spacebar key so I get my hand tool, and then I'm going to navigate around the image to see if there are any other spots that I want to remove. And I see two. I see one here and one over here. So I'm going to go ahead and paint in this area here. Let's turn off the overlay to see what it looks like. So that looks pretty good. Now we have a really small blemish right here. So what I want to do is I want to decrease the size of my brush so it's just a little bit larger than that spot right there. And I can do that with my size slider right here, but I prefer to use my keyboard shortcuts, which are the left and right bracket keys. So if I use my right bracket key, it's going to make the brush larger. The left bracket key is going to make the brush smaller. So now I can go ahead and click and drag over this area to make sure that it's covered up. And voila, the spot has been removed. Pretty cool. All right, let's go ahead and look around the rest of the image and see if there's anything else we want to fix. I think there's a little spot right here. It looks like a little bit of a highlight. It kind of looks out of place. Maybe it's supposed to be there, maybe it's not. I find it a little distracting, so I'm going to use my left bracket key to get a smaller brush and just paint over that area. And now I have that area fixed as well. Let's go ahead and zoom back out. And I think we are all done with removing our spots. So go ahead, use the spot removal tool to remove any spots that you see in the image. Maybe you want to get rid of one of the boats. Go ahead and do that as well. And then we'll go ahead and move on to the next lesson, which is our local adjustment brushes.